Hi guys, Jared here with Day Traders FX. Hopefully you guys are having a great day, and I would just like to say welcome once again to all of the new people that have been joining us for the afternoon sessions. Take advantage of those. They're free this week. They start at 4 p.m. Pacific, which is 7 p.m. Eastern Time, and midnight UK. So we start that every day, and it's they're 30 to 45 minutes long. We're looking at several different types of setups. We're placing orders. We're discussing things, lots of stuff. So join us. Look for the email. Updates will also be on Twitter, the link to log in, and so on. Okay, let's have a look at this real quick. U.S. markets have been all over the map today. The Dow was up and down and up and down, and finally ended up nicely up about 116 points. S&P up a little bit. Oil down, gold up. So pretty positive day overall. We had a lot of news today that came out much better than expected, surprisingly, but Bernanke kind of got things headed south once again during his speech. And here is the calendar for tomorrow. He speaks. He speaks again tomorrow at the same time, 7 a.m. Pacific, 7 a.m. chat time. So that's going to be another active, exciting moment in the market. But before that, an hour and a half earlier, we have durable goods, which is also a pretty active, exciting time in the market. We also have some Italian bond auctions going. That's going to be, something worth having a look at. Pending home sales, we have that. And then later in the morning, we have Draghi speaking. So as you can tell, we have a lot of stuff going on tomorrow. So make sure you join us in the chat and don't miss out on that. Okay, quick look at what the pairs are doing. There's only a few setups that I'm interested in right now, and the euro-dollar is one of them. Right now, the euro-dollar is bottoming out off of this channel. This is our little 4-hour channel here. It's been hitting the bottom of that and finding a lot of support. That's about 130.50. So it's finding a lot of support at 130.50, which 130.50 happens to be the 200-day moving average. And it hit almost, our low here is about 130.17, 18, and it just about hit that 130 mark, which is the low of last month, also a psychological level. And actually the low of last month was about 129.95, so just a tiny bit below 130. Good psychological level, good strong stuff. Excuse me. I like buying this euro-dollar. I think it has a fair chance of sliding lower and testing that 130. So what I'm looking for is I like a buy on this euro-dollar as long as it stays above about 150. 130.50. And I would even give it as low as 130.40 if it can stay above 130.40. But if it does open below this weekly pivot point right here, if it opens below 130.40, definitely out. I'm keeping like a 15 pip stop on this thing. I'm definitely out. Because what I'm looking for is for it to reach this missed pivot, and I think we have a very good chance at. There's a good 80 pips in there, and I think I think we have a very good opportunity to reach into that missed pivot. But we have to stay above, at the lowest this point, 130.40. Now you could try putting a stop below the lowest point, which typically makes sense. My only thing is, I think if it makes it down to this lowest point, 130.17, 18, then I think it's headed into 130 and possibly through 130. So I'm going to look at buying at 130 if we get down there. Otherwise, if I'm just keeping a 15 or 20 pip stop at the most on this thing and looking for that run up into this missed weekly pivot or daily pivot, which is at 131.50. So that's what I'm looking for. That also is the low of last week, the Friday low. Lots of good stuff going on right there. So that's my target for right now. Depending on how things go, I'm going to be watching price action. We'll talk about this in the daily video, or excuse me, in the daily wrap-up session. I'm going to be looking for this to run up to this pair or to this area here and potentially trade a reversal off of this and short off of 131.50. It depends on, I want to see a good reversal candle. I want to see a couple of good things happening, but I think if we can get that, we have a good opportunity to short from 130.50 down into 130. So that's kind of what I'm looking for on this pair for right now. Pound dollar is chopping around. The pound dollar has plenty of downtrend left in it. It's still running down pretty heavily. Lots of downside potential. You can see here our next major level of support really is all the way down here at about 141. Right around there, right around 141. So I think we've got some good downside potential. You can see a little choppy trend line trying to kind of form in here. If we break below that, we might as well start shorting this thing again and take it on down because I think there's a lot of potential pips. If this does catch a little bit of fire and get going, I don't want to buy it until we're above 152.15. I want to break the daily and weekly high before I buy this thing. And then I would buy it at that point into the 200 moving average, which is 90 to 100 pips. And that puts us back into the Friday high, back into trend lines, back into a lot of stuff. But I want to wait till we break 152.15 before I do that. Otherwise, if it reverses off of this high again, let's look at shorting. And if it just breaks through this trend line, we may have an opportunity to enter short as well. But there's nothing but just downside movement down there, and I think that the pound is still very heavy and gives us a good opportunity to continue trading to the downside. Here's one little thing I'm looking at. I think this Aussie dollar, it's really having a heck of a time getting through these lows here. This 10200, I think we got down to, I think our low here was 101.99. It's really sticking at 10200 or just above, and we're having a real tough time getting below that, but I think it might be ready to start sliding down just slowly. One thing that we see here on this 15-minute chart is we've tested this trend line pretty continually, and it seems to be holding up pretty well. So I actually like a short right around this 102, 25, 30, with fairly tight stops. Let's get our stops, 25, 30 pips away, and let's look to number one, short into the lows here, which give us not a huge run, but ultimately I think we've got a good target down here in the low of October, which is around 101.50. So doesn't give us a ton of profit. That's 75 pips or so, but that's 75 pips that I don't mind. So that's what I'm looking for on the Aussie dollar, is basically shorting it right around current market price, trading it into those lows, and again keeping stops. If we get in around 102.30, say, there's a couple of places to have the stops. We've got a good bit of resistance above 102.65, and that's probably where I'll have my stop, about 35 pips. And I'll be shooting for, once again, about that 101.50. So about a 35 pip stop and probably a 75 pip profit target is what I'll be looking for on the Aussie. As far as everything else goes, Euro Yen's moving around. We still have resistance. I'm probably not going to do too much trading on this one, but we have resistance at 121.20. Break above that, I would try to trade into that missed daily pivot, because that's an easy 40 pip run, and most likely we'll have even a larger run into that weekly low of last week, which is 122.30. So from 121.20 to 122.30, we have 110 pips, and there's there's no reason to believe that if we can break this high that we can't reach that upper area. So that's just one thing I'm keeping an eye on. Aussie yen chopping around quite a bit. Pound yen kind of doing the same thing, and some of these other pairs. So Euro yen's probably the only one I'll be looking at of the yen pairs to trade. So more on all of that in the daily wrap-up session. Remember, keep an eye on Twitter at DayTradersFX, and you'll see the link to join in. You can also go to daytradersfx.com and put your name and email address in my mailing list. I don't spam anybody, and that'll keep you up to date with our daily sessions and the free offers and so on that we have. Okay, guys, thanks a bunch, everyone. We'll see you in the chat and on Twitter. Thanks, guys.